It's 1905. Two friends are playing a casual game of chess in Chicago, Illinois. And it turns out to be one of the coolest looking checkmates that I've ever found in my studies. And it's a pretty good educational game as well. So hopefully you can take something out of it. We're going to be looking at Black's perspective today. And it starts with a gambit that I don't love. You can probably tell from most of my videos, I'm not a huge fan of gambits. This is the Albin counter gambit. And the idea is after white has started with the queen's gambit, you also gambit a pawn. So after e takes, you push d4, and you pull anybody doing the queen's gambit out of their theory a little bit. It gets interesting. But white actually goes for e3 here instead. And the idea is that after pawn takes, there's going to be some very interesting trick ideas after bishop check. However, queen takes. And now we have a pretty unique game. First off, your opponent is threatening a piece, right? There are two attackers, only one defender, okay? So go ahead and defend the pawn. Black goes for knight f6. White sees that they have a bit of pressure, and there is a way to add more pressure with knight to c3. And now there's a couple of other ways that we can either continue to defend the pawn, right? Some people might elect for bishop e6. I've said before, I do not like placing my bishops in front of brick walls. If I have other options, I'm going to choose those. c6 doesn't do too much other than take away the square that the knight wanted to go to. c5 might be an interesting approach, kicking the queen away with some tempo. You still have the c6 square for your knight. Black just goes for the immediate knight c6. And the queen runs back. All right, and now it's Black's turn. In a previous game, I talked about how bringing that queen out too early typically is going to cost you a lot of tempo if your opponent knows how to punish it. So they brought their queen out to d4. They brought it all the way back to its starting square, and it's Black's move. So they go bishop f5. Now, if you're playing as white and you are behind in development by this much, you might have done something wrong, and you really should be playing catch up in this case. White has a lot of fine moves here that they can play, but got a little too scared. I think they might have been seeing ghosts and saw how strong this bishop was, I guess, and maybe that black is covering a lot of the squares. I'm really trying to find a reason why white plays the move they did. You also have to understand what's on tap for black with the very simple move, bishop to f5. Now that it's not seeing a brick wall, very strong bishop. What other piece can come to create havoc? If you were thinking about the knight to b4, yeah, that's a pretty annoying move. That's going to be coming in to potentially check. So a lot of different things we can do here. A3 is probably the safest approach, even though it's not the best. It's not necessary in a lot of cases. But f3, not a fan of that move at all. Trying to gain some squares, I really can't excuse this move. Black just plays b4 instantly. Now, there is another move. You know, a lot of times I tell students when they're looking for moves, the first thing you look for is checks and captures. That does not necessarily mean that if you see a check or capture, that's the best move, right? Sometimes it can even put you behind in development. by taking a poisoned piece, by checking, and then your opponent gets out of check with tempo. White goes for queen a4 check. And I want you to think of the ways that you can get out of check here. Okay, we don't have to worry about a fork. The knight is protected by our bishop, so there's no reason to go knight back. You might think that bishop back gains a bit of tempo, but what I want you to think about today is always bringing the pieces that are farther back and bringing them farther forward and avoiding underdevelopment. The queen originally went to d4, then it went back to d1, now it's on a4. A lot of waste of time. We already brought the bishop out. We've already brought the knight out. So we don't want to bring them back, okay? So black opts for a new piece. My top priority is always utilizing pieces I haven't moved yet. You should be doing the same. So queen d7 to block. And after queen takes, I want you to be in the mindset that I just told you. What move, after all of the things I said, what move do you think I would like the most here? It's not necessarily the best move if you ask a computer. I think it's like the second best. But again, think about all of our options. Yes, we could bring the knight or the bishop backwards. That's not what I want you to do today. So yes, black is going to do king takes. Oh no, we can't castle. Does it really matter? First of all, the queens are off the board, which makes castling a lot less needed. The only real reason is to get your rook out. And now that the king is off the back rank, the rooks could be, you know, involved. You could manual castle at some point if you really need to. And there's really no threat. White is not even close to castling at the moment. If anything, again, they have to worry about this threat. And what do they do with this threat? Well, white is just not good at counting because they play e4. Blocking the bishop. And you don't want to go for the check immediately because after king d1, and if you take, well, you're going to lose your bishop, and then the knight kind of gets stuck in the corner. You might end up trading a knight and a bishop for a rook, which isn't a good trade. So instead, just do some simple counting. 1, 2, 3. Oh, excuse me. 3 versus 2. Okay? So we can take that. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. And we have two decisions here. Again, be in the mindset that I've talked about. Take the pieces that are farther back, bring them farther forward. Knight takes. And I know I talk a lot about bishops with brick walls, but this knight is very temporary. Okay. Maybe white should trade. Trades are typically good if you are either ahead of material, which white right now is behind material, which is probably why they didn't trade, or if your king feels a little unsafe. They probably should have traded here, but played the very bizarre rook b1. I think the idea is they're saying, well, you could check me, but you won't win my rook. Okay, check. And king d1. Now neither king is castling. Okay. Your knight on c2. Infiltrating. It's being attacked. What's the theme for today? Okay. Avoid underdeveloping if you have the chance. Maybe you've already seen it. Maybe you're just waiting for me to play it. Knight f2. A discovery defense. You don't see that a lot. Discovery defense with the check. And now king e2, attacking your other knight. Continue the theme. Don't just run your knight away. Is there any other options? Of course, there's one last piece that we can bring into the action. Bishop to c5. Okay. Now, in this case, white is so badly developed, they should probably start increasing probably the bishop. In this case, it's still a very terrible position because what's to come. they're probably going to have to give up a piece to avoid being mated. However, knight to f3 is just the nail in the coffin. Go ahead and take a look at the position, and it is history for the white pieces. Now, if you said bringing either rook to e8, it's not bad. And you're actually continuing the theme of today's lesson, which is, finding those pieces that are not being utilized and putting them on better squares. We haven't used either rook. So getting them to the open file, it's a great move. Okay. But here, the knights and bishops are so strong and so dominant. That's all we need in this game. The very simple bishop to d3 check, king over. Let's close the casket with bishop e3. Wow. Very interesting checkmate. So in your games, you should never say, I don't know what to do. That's what I hear almost every day when I'm teaching a class. Coach Nick, I don't know what to do. And what will I see when I look at their board? They'll have pieces that let me change the color here. They have pieces they haven't moved at all, right? So you shouldn't be asking me that question. If you have pieces that haven't been utilized yet, bring those pieces that are farther back, bring them farther forward into the party, into the action, onto the battlefield. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.